and welcome to the first episode of It's Nothing Personal, featuring myself, and today's guest is me. I thought I would do the first one on a little bit of more about me, who I am as a person. Anyone that's interested, you may watch this. If you don't want to watch it, that is absolutely fine as well, but I hope you take some bits from it, get answer some questions that some people have answered on my Instagram story, and they asked me a lot on messages. I thought it was a good time to answer them on here. So why did I start fitness is one of the questions, and how I got into it. So I was actually, when I was younger, I was actually very, very skinny as a child. I was very pale. I'd get very bullied in school. When people used to say to me school was the best time of your life, I can categorically say it was not, and I do not miss it. And the years of my life are definitely better now. So anyone that, has thought, oh, is my life going to be over after school? It's not, I promise. But yeah, I got bullied in school, and I had a friend or a guy that I looked up to in school who was always in shape. He got a lot of girls. And I was like, I want to be this guy. It's really clever. It was kind of what you'd epitomise on TV shows and stuff. And I was like, I want to be that guy. Started going to gym, made absolutely very little progress for maybe the first 4 or 5 years of trying to get in shape. I winged my food. I winged my training. I just winged everything. Really didn't really know what I was doing. And it just got to a point as I got older, I started doing more research, understanding things more. I had my first coach. I started to progress from there. And as the years went on and on, I learned more, educated myself finally, got myself my qualifications to become a personal trainer, understand more about my actual journey as my physique and how it all works. And yeah, that's kind of how it all started, really. It was not a case of like, I wanted to be, massive, or because I'm not, but I wanted to be anything. I just enjoyed the gym. I enjoyed how it made me feel, how it made me look as well. It benefited a lot of my life. I used to get a lot of compliments. My confidence grew from it as well. It's just been a very unconfident guy to now someone who honestly doesn't give a shit what anyone thinks of me. Obviously, people care about me, but I've become who I am from the gym. Obviously, it's not just from lifting weights up and down. There's a lot more to it, as most people know. It's benefited my life in terms of with discipline, structure. When I don't want to do something and I'm doing it, and I put that in other aspects of my life, with my business, in relationship, with friendships, with everything, I've always pushed myself more because it's given me that mindset to do. So yeah, that's how I got into fitness, and that's kind of the journey so far. Someone's asking my hair updates. This is another thing I get asked a lot. So I basically had a hair transplant 11 months ago. It's not because I needed it, by the way. I just want to clarify this. I just wanted to get it done. It was something that was making me feel a little bit insecure. For the simple fact, most people would not notice it, but because I noticed it, that's all that mattered. So I wanted to get it done. So I had 1,500 grafts, which is below average for most males. Most have 3,500 up to 5,000, I believe. So I had it done at the front. It was a very straightforward procedure. Now Hair Time, who I can't thank enough, did it for me. Do have a discount code if anyone wants it. But yeah, the hair process is one of them things, like with anything, it does take time. And the thing that I was more concerned about than anything was the aftercare. So with the aftercare itself, you have to prioritise it. And I can't stress this enough. I've had friends who have done it and they've not done the aftercare, and it's just not worked. You really have to put time into making sure that you look after your hair, and you shampoo it properly, and you put the creams in that they give you, and the oils, and you really, listen to everything they say. Not going in the sun for X amount of time, no gym for a certain amount of time, things like that, to really get the results you want. Otherwise, you will not get the you won't get to where you want to go with it. So it's a slow, gradual process, but it is worked in terms of where it is. It started to look a lot more fuller, especially after this first 6 months. Not gonna lie, the first 3 months I kind of regretted it, because I was like, my head was massive, it was swollen. You could see that I'd had a hair transplant, so it's giving away your insecurities. You have to shave your hair as well. And I had this, whatever reason, I have this hideous idea to do like a man bun kind of thing that didn't work, so it looked even worse. So yeah, it wasn't great, but the actual procedure itself wasn't too bad. But it was just that initial fact of, it's very obvious and people know that you've had it done. That's the worst bit. But at the same point, I wanted to kind of show, I put it on my Instagram as well, that, there's nothing wrong with showing your insecurities, and, you're doing things to benefit yourself, so it's not a big deal. So yeah, hair transplant is going fine. Hair's growing great. Hasn't taken long, but the most results you get apparently are between I think it's the last like 8 months, 12 months, and then like another year's time is when you'll see the best results. So definitely recommend that if you're a guy or girl who has some confidence in the hair or feels like they want to change it. A deep one. Do you have any regrets? I think as I got older, there's things that I could have done definitely differently, and how I acted when I was younger. Everyone's got regrets. It's part of human nature, but probably mine would be probably not starting a business earlier. Obviously, I'm still quite young. I like to think 28. I think I'm quite still young, but I would have liked to have started doing something earlier. I would have not wasted time in university. I went there for 6 months to do law, and I thought it was the biggest waste of time ever. Nothing knocking people that go to university, but that was not what my aspiration was. I just followed the path of what I thought I was meant to do. So I did a lot of time wasting in things I didn't need to do. And I should have learned more skills that are valuable in sales, in communication with people, understanding, education of what I wanted to be in. And I think I would have got a lot further in that period of time if I'd done that. Obviously, when I was a little bit younger, I feel old now, but social media wasn't as big as it is now, and really do well off online things now, whereas back in the day it was still new, and it was still only a select few of people that were good at it. Now anyone can make money on social media and do well with it. So probably the biggest regret, without it being deep, would probably be not starting a business earlier. My first business at 23, so it's still young, or 22, still young, but I think I could have done that better if I'd done it earlier. Sounds like I should have other ones, but it's not a regret for me. Anything that I've done is life lessons, and I've learned from them, whether they've been good or bad. So I don't take regrets as anything. I take them as life lessons. So ultimately, everything you do shapes to who you are, and shapes you to who you become. So I don't regret anything as such, just a few key points in my life that I could have changed, potentially, and done better with. So another question was, what is my weight and height? And I get asked this a lot. I don't know why it's such a fascination of how much I weigh and how tall I am. For some people seem to think I'm like 4 foot or 5 foot. My mum is 5'1", okay, and she is an absolute midget. I am not that height. I'm 6 foot. For whatever reason, people seem to think on Instagram that I'm very small. I don't know why it's come from. The occasional person says it, and then the rest follows. But I'm 6 foot, and I currently weigh 92 kg, which is just over 200 pounds for my American. So that is how much I currently weigh. End goal is around 210 to 215. In this current phase of me bulking, and then I will drop again and see where I'm at. So that's where I am currently. Another question was, am I close to my family? So I am very close to my mum and my sister, and I have been for my whole life. Always been close to my mum. We speak every single day on text. If I do not text my mum, then I assume something's wrong, and I always will be close to my mum. She's my best friend. But I do still have a dad, yes. Not close to my dad, but I do have a dad. So I do also have a stepdad who is like my dad, so it is a win-win. But my mum and dad got divorced when I was younger. I'm not going to go into the story of it, but my dad got divorced when I was young, and I was very, very close to my mum through that divorce. It was not a nice one, and I took my mother's side to it. Obviously, you would in the situation, and I've just grown up to be very close to my mum and my sister. So yeah, always have been, always will be, and that's kind of my family life. It used to be my mum, my sister till I was about 16, 17. Parents got divorced when I was about 10, 11 or 12-ish. We kind of went on for quite a while. And then my stepdad, they got married, gave my mum away at the wedding, which was I was more nervous than my mum was, which was quite funny. I was like, I can't do it. And she was like, I'm the one getting married. And I was like, oh. As the quote, I'm not making this bill, by the way. What started first, the amazing body, thank you, or the tattoos? I started going to the gym first because I just did, and that's just what I started. Tattoos were not as big when I was younger. When I first started getting them, there was only, like, again, social media, but I didn't see as many as I see now. I feel like most people have them, and it's very more of the norm. When I got them, it was a bit more like, you still look like a thug. You still were classed as kind of like, oh, well, who's that? Whereas, now it's a lot more acceptable, and there are a lot more nicer tattoos as well, as the years have gone on. Better tattoo artists, things like that. So it was the gym first, started getting in shape, started getting a few tattoos, then got my tattoos redone by someone better, and then spent a lot of money over the period of the last couple of years to get a lot more tattoos. Again, I don't get tattoos to look a certain way. I don't try and do it to look hard. I don't try and do it to impress anyone. I do it because it's like artwork for me, and I generally enjoy the look of them. And like artwork, with the way I design them and put them on my physique, is not just to put them places. I put them in select places to give a more aesthetic look to my physique. Some people may find that weird. Some people may say, well, that still looks thuggy. Doesn't really matter. I do it for myself. So yeah, the physique started first, and the tattoos came after that. But if you are looking at getting tattoos, think about what you get first. And when I was younger, people used to say to me, oh, no, I'm getting whatever. But I found that as I got older, I started to get different ones and cover ones up. So just make sure if you're getting tattoos, you are really thinking about what you want. It doesn't necessarily have to be meaningful. If you like the look of it and you think that it's going to look nice on your body, do it. I wouldn't think it has to be meaningful about your family or a quote or whatever it is, because the quotes that I got when I was younger didn't mean anything to me when I was older. Like, it was something about Christianity and God. I don't even support Christianity or God now, so I had to get them removed and crossed over with something else. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. How do you get over a training plateau in terms of not seeing growth? Trying to get over a training plateau or just a general physique plateau, I would say that you need to look at what's going wrong. So that could be your food, it could be your sleep, it could be your type of training you're doing, and look at when it went wrong as well. So if you are not fully sure how to pinpoint that, I would just look at what you feel you're doing right. So you're tracking your food, you're tracking your calories, you're knowing exactly how much protein you're eating. Are you going to the gym with a structured plan, or are you just going in there and going in? If you are looking at plateaus, I look at potentially mixing your training up a little bit, trying different movements. Maybe there's a reason why you're not going any further than you possibly can be. So I look at potential different movements, looking at potentially increasing food, especially if you're trying to slowly lean bulk up, slowly increase food more, change food groups, or maybe eat at different times of the day instead. Start changing things around a little bit to make sure that you're covering all aspects. And it's trial and error as well. Plateaus happen everywhere in life, in business, in your physique, in anything. Something stalls at some point, but you have to pinpoint it and trial things out until you figure out what it was that made you stall. It might be just a case of you are not pushing yourself as physically hard as you think you are, and you're not actually being as consistent as you think you are. Maybe you need some accountability, you need better structure. There could be other areas of your life that you need to pinpoint to fix. And I try and start pinpointing them firstly, tick them off. And if it's still not working, then at least then you know where you've gone right. And at some point you will be able to break that plateau through new training, nutrition, having more accountability structure, something like that. So you will be able to get there. It won't take long, but you just have to take action and make sure whatever you're doing now is obviously not working. So make sure you're doing something to change it. So I got one saying, any tips for last minute hacks to get in shape? I get this a lot in summer as well, when it's about two to 4 weeks before someone goes on holiday. They'll message me and say, Matt, I need to get in shape. I've not done it. I need to get in shape. What do I do? And I always just say, you have left it too late. Of course, you can see some small differences in 2-4 weeks, but it's not going to be enough where it's going to be very noticeable to anyone else and maybe even yourself. You might get a little bit of structure, but not enough to actually get in shape. Getting in shape is not as hard as what people think, but it takes longer than what people think, and they underestimate how much body fat they have and how long it's going to take them. Because you see transformations that sometimes they're 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 16 weeks, you assume that you're going to be the same. A lot of things are different for people starting points, genetics, all kinds of stuff. So to pinpoint your actual transformation could be different. But if it's actually to lose body fat overall, self time. So not just 2, 3, 4 months. Think, okay, it's going to take me 6 months realistically to do this, because you also want to learn and be able to do this consistently as well. You don't want to just crash start getting in shape because it's very easily lost. You want to learn how to actually get in shape and take that time to actually do it, build the physique up. Your physique gets used to that, new muscle or body fat that you've lost. And then you can look at a maintenance phase during that holiday season or summer season where you can actually just maintain that weight and that physique throughout that season. I always like to try and do different phases, so I like to plan like a bulking time of the year. So it might be for me end of October up to, February time, and then I'll start to look at cutting. So I'll start to look at cutting body fat from March up to April, May, maybe June, and then obviously I've got some of them to kind of maintain. So you've always got to try and plan ahead so that you can stay consistently in shape year round. So yeah, if you are looking at going on holiday, and you are planning something, give yourself enough time. I can't stress that enough. Don't be one of them people that says, I'm going to start this next year, gets to next year, then I'm going to start in 2 months' time, and then you never get there, because all that time you've thought thinking about things, you could have just got on with it and got some really great results. Someone's put, I need some help, my motivation is gone. So this is something that I always like to say to anyone: motivation will always come and go. What you need to understand is discipline, and structure won't. So you need to figure out, okay, how do I get discipline and structure in my life enough where, one, I'm seeing visible results or taking actions where I'm seeing something from it, which gives a starting to a movement of motivation. But motivation for anything never ever stays. I don't know one person I've ever spoken to in my life who's constantly motivated, constantly happy, and constantly raring to go. It's just not real life. So when you slip out that switch of motivation and more discipline, structure, and a goal, I always like to envision what you're going to look like in that future year. So what was that goal you wanted to achieve, and how you're going to achieve it? And you can reverse engineer it. So, okay, I need to do this to achieve this. I need to do this to achieve that. And then you could reverse engineer it to spark that motivation and start ticking it off. Set yourself some goals, have a list, and make sure you're ticking them off. And that becomes a sort of motivation as well. But motivation in itself is not a real thing. I don't believe anyone's motivated all the time. Obviously, you can be motivated for, a day or two. People are motivated before they go on holidays to get in shape, and then once the holiday's over, they lose it completely. But that's where dedication, that's where structure, consistency comes into play, to actually make sure that you stay consistent throughout. Accountability, structure from someone else can motivate you for a bit, but then once you've lost that person or they've gone, you're on your own again. So you really need to build that fortitude in your mind of structure and consistency. So what is my physique goal? So with my actual physique itself, I don't have a goal as such, and that sounds a bit weird, but I do just have a consistency to keep improving. So I have an aim of always just wanting to improve it. There's always areas on your physique, and you'll find when you're building it up yourself that there's areas that you always want to improve. So For me, it's just putting on more size, to be honest, and making sure it's lean size. It's not extra body fat or too much body fat. It's just improving my current physique, and each year seeing an improvement. And as long as I'm seeing an improvement, I'm happy with that. I'm not worried as such. But for me right now, it's just to bulk up. I slowly and bulk over the winter period. It's a perfect time to do it. And then I'll cut down for start summer. So I'll start in January, February, and give myself enough time to actually lose the body fat without losing much muscle mass, because I've done this before, previously in the past. I made more mistakes than any of you will know with fitness before I actually properly got into it, of trying to bulk, putting on loads of body fat, and then losing it all, and then losing any muscle I made because I crash dieted and did all that. So really planning it to a T, making sure it's all in a phase for me works best, and it works best for anyone to actually plan it properly. So yeah, that's kind of what I will do for this phase. But to answer that question, it's just overall get proportional as possible and as big as possible, and the leanest and healthiest as possible. So not asking much, but that is a goal. I've got a question about relationships, which I will answer because, yeah, I'll give advice best I can. But so ex cheated on me twice and not sure how to get over breakup. Any idea? To be honest, I think as I got older, I could say more mature things, but I would definitely say just get yourself in shape. If you're not in shape already, get yourself into a routine where you can just forget about things and improve. Speaking to a client about this a couple of weeks ago, but every bit of your life is a chapter, okay? So when one door closes, another opens, and I heard that quote loads, and I really got it until as I got older and I experienced these things myself. But I definitely say that if you are just embrace the sadness for a couple of days, understand that it's going to take time, and then once you've got over that, think, right, okay, I'm done with that being sad now, I'm going to move on and progress. That's the best bit. But everything should be a learning curve, and all it just means is that person was not meant to be in your life, your next chapter. It's not the end of the world, and I think when people accept that, it's a lot easier to accept that they're not your forever person. And if someone ends with you or you end with them, you shouldn't get back together because they're not right for you for some way or another. And concentrate on yourself. So wherever you've lacked in that relationship, like, you may have felt like you were not in the best shape, you were not mentally strong enough, you were not financially stable enough. There's areas of your life you can improve. So how can I improve that going into my next relationship? And take some time out. And I can't stress this enough. I see so many people relationship hop. Just take some time for you. Just literally just take some time out for yourself and think, right, what do I need to improve on? What can I do for myself now? And do that, and just go and do that for a solid year on your own, or 2 years, or how long it takes to improve those areas, and the right person will find you when you least expect it. So that's what I'd recommend for you. But just remember, every chapter has an ending, and you just have to make sure that your next one's better than the next one. The main thing is just go to the gym, eat well, get in fucking great shape, and just improve every possible way you can in your life, and you'll be fine.